Hey guys, so I'm excited to be able to talk to you about this VOD. This Naxx that just happened had a lot in it. And if you didn't know, this is Oscar Zugww on Twitch. Longtime hardcore player. He's part of the forever iconic Lionheart negotiations that Tyler One had back when he was playing hardcore. And these guys are still on the same characters, which I think is really impressive. They don't die very often. However, we are going to see some deaths and some very close to more deaths situations, and I just want to talk about those today. First of all, a little bit surprised to see people get stunned like that, but not. They're that level of organized where they have different groups that are going to be fapping each time to pick up these mobs. They have their fap teams, and that's what you're going to see here. I don't really like how this is being pulled though. I always think that retchers are something that you should walk into and insta kill. They have the damage as soon as it gets to them, it dies, right? But the longer that you're in combat with things, the more likely that a mechanic is going to happen. When you pull things from a distance like that, it can be a little bit sketch. However, you need to understand the perspective here of being on Horde side. Horde side is much more turret mode with the way that totems go down and you're a little bit more planted in your spot. So that makes a little bit more sense in that context. However, this was a little bit sketched right here. A common trend that I noticed throughout this raid is marks kept on getting changed and messed up, and that almost led to scary moments here. These retchers, they do two different abilities, a knock up and a spit. And Oscar is going to get knocked up here, and fortunately he's able to flip it around quickly, but this spit in combination, you see the spit goes out right there. That wombo combo, if people are not full health, easily can kill someone. However, this is a full world buffed raid where they have every possible thing that they can to have higher health pools. You're seeing mages with 7k health, shamans with 9k health. These guys are tanky. So, in some sense, things that may feel a little bit scary to some groups isn't going to feel very scary to this group. Again, they're quite geared as well. You're looking at a perspective of a tank that is essentially full bis and um, blaster status. So each time they want to kill these retchers, and if you notice on that previous pack, it got a little wonky where the retcher was one of the last targets to die. And this is a tendency on DMF week. On DMF week, you have more damage, you have more firepower, and it just blinds people. It makes you stop thinking. You just spam the buttons because you do more damage, you're parsing. And I think that the parsing mentality a lot of times in hardcore raids is just really, really dumb. And I don't play hardcore. Let me first give that disclaimer. Armchair gamer review here. I get it in terms of what else is there to do, right? If you've been playing this game for years, you want to try and have bigger numbers, kill things faster, and that's partially the parse mentality, right? But when that mindset results in a worse experience for other people, especially in hardcore where it can get people killed, it makes you start to question what is really worth it. So that's what we're going to see a couple times here. I don't really get this pull either. When the triangle target is in the middle like this, it won't social pull. So they wait a couple seconds, they wait for it to get to the middle. Why wouldn't you just take the 2 seconds right here and just insta kill triangle? Instead, they mark everything else and they go on in. It's not like that this was dangerous, but it's just, I don't really know the full context sometimes of why they do what they do. So all I can do is ask the reasoning. To me, it just makes so much more sense to insta kill the one target and then you're set with other stuff. But again, as soon as I'm saying this, they have their FAP teams. So Oscar wasn't assigned to this FAP team, so he probably wouldn't have gone in anyways. Maybe makes sense. You saw how fast they killed one target, though. They clearly have a lot of damage when they're able to single target things. Another thing I noticed here is there's really few magma totems. I think magma is pretty solid here. Another disclaimer, I don't play Horde very often at all. Much more of an Alliance Andy. But I know that a lot of cases, the shamans will put their totems down up front here, and it can be helpful. Not like it really matters, though, right? They're killing everything really quickly. They're standing still and don't have to move from their turret mode. So not a problem right there at all. But what you're going to see upcoming here is a problem. I think that some people don't fully understand how Patchwerk works. And again, I'm just going to keep saying it. Horde side is different, but I would never recommend in a hardcore raid that tank should be popping Death Wish on Patchwerk, especially on the opener. I get it. That's opener when threat is most important. But if this is a raid where you want to have high levels of execution, DPS should just chill for a sec and it will be totally fine. The way that Patchwerk hatefuls work is different than a lot of other abilities in the game. When you get hit by a hateful, you get threat. There's not really anything else like that that I'm aware of. So because of that, as a tank, as long as you're getting hit by hatefuls and hitting the boss, you really should stay in the top 4. Again, I've seen many times where that's not the case in speed runs where people are blasting. But I don't know, it just kind of surprised me to see what's going to happen here. Where let's watch the opener. Good opener, bow shot. I recommend that. Jab is almost a little too close to the point that it kind of scares me. But you see the chain heal spam here. That's the meta. And Oscar's popping absolutely everything. He has Giga Threat. So if there is one person to use Death Wish, it definitely makes sense as the main tank. And then the question is, who has the most health in the top 4? So let's just make this full screen here. And look who has the most health. So it looked like that Brapton is not going to be taking them. He's marked as a tank, but he's going into this fight with lower health. It's only the top 4 people that need to worry about their health. However, in this context, why not, right? But they tell Blast here, you got to watch out, you're second on threat. We'll just listen to the comms.
Blasted on, you're second in threat.
Below 3
I'm
tanks.
4th on the meter, no?
He's below 3 tanks. He's 4th on the meter. Yeah. So Patchwerk can only hit hatefuls on the top 4 people. And as the main tank, you're not going to get hit. So it's the next 3 people in line here. Willie, Blast, and Kinsey in this case. And both Kinsey and Willie are getting hit by hatefuls. So that seems fine to me. What I notice here is that Willie is the only one using Death Wish, which does make sense to me. Kinsley has the higher health pool, so Willie's going to be getting hit less often. Patchwerk will always pick the person with the highest health. So for that reason, Kins is getting hit more. I don't think he should be popping Death Wish like this. That just doesn't make sense to me. Very dangerous for the higher health pool person to be popping Death Wish like that. He's getting hit really hard. But anyways, they manage, they get through it. But I just think that a lot of times people don't really understand. As long as you're below the main tank, you're fine. If you push other tanks out of the top 4, that's a problem. At the opener here, it did look like Kinsley got pushed out for a second, and that's really dangerous. So Kinsley's top 4, he stops for a second because he doesn't want to rip threat. He almost overtook Oscar, so then he backs off slightly, and all of a sudden all the other guys almost take him. And this is a really dangerous experience. Suddenly, if there's only one of the off tanks in the top 4, if Monkey Stabs or Cow had taken over, like we're going to see maybe 8 seconds into this fight, that's where disaster happens, especially on Horde side where you're just relying on chain heal. Very, very sketch. But that doesn't happen, right? Like Blast shouldn't have to worry as long as he's the only one in that top 4. And being in the top 4 on threat, even if you're not getting hit by hatefuls, I believe that it just passively gives you more threat. So once you're in the top 4, you're just going to be in the top 4. And it doesn't matter within that position as a DPS where you are. You can be second on threat, you can be third on threat, you can be fourth on threat. As long as your health is lower than the other people in that range, you're fine. So anyways, just wanted to try and explain that a little bit more because so often it feels to me like people don't fully understand how Patchwerk works. Again, if I'm ever saying something that you think is wrong, please let me know in the comments. I really do try and look. And from the last TBC video that I posted. I definitely learned a lot from what you guys taught me. So thankful for that. Definitely don't know everything. And I don't want to give wrong information. That's especially my biggest thing. So if there's ever some big thing that I am saying wrong, I will always try and correct it in a future video. Anyways, Grob went totally fine. They did have a mage go crazy with this Petri or this ignite.
We're okay for right now. Thank you. Good comps. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it.
So he's saying drop it here, and it's only at 86%, right? Like you can go up to 130% if you're ranged. So again, this is something that I think a lot of people don't understand how threat meters work. As a melee character, if you're in melee range and you go above 100% over the main tank, you're gonna pull. If you're a ranged character at a distance, you have to get to 130% threat. So here in this context,
Watch that ignite. Watch that ignite.
this ignite was nowhere close, like not at all. I think that they want to be safe, especially on a fight like Grob, but so often these guys are petring anyways, so I don't really understand that thought process. In this case, they needed to get to maybe like 120k threat to overtake Oscar by the time that Oscar had gotten a little bit more, maybe 110k, but he's at 84, right? Like so much room to work with there. So I get it, maybe being extra safe, maybe not fully aware of how that works, but I just want to make things super clear here that if you're a ranged character, you have to get 130% to pull threat. So anyways, they log out and they wait for Death Wish. There are some times that they're logging out and making sure that they have more cooldowns. However, this is a pretty steady pace throughout, and one of the faster Naxx full clears that I've seen on hardcore. You're going to see when they lose hour buffs, they go and get new hour buffs. So overall, this is like a 2.5 hour full clear, which again, I think is really impressive. There's not many groups that are able to pull this off, and that's awesome. So good for these guys, but we're going to see some other things here that I just feel like need to be called out. And it's not on Thaddeus. Thaddeus went really well. Easy peasy. Besides this, so this is something that I've been wanting to talk about with my tanks as well. On the opener here, I don't know if it makes sense to use offensive cooldowns. In this context, I think it does. So what you're going to see here is outside of the first couple seconds, this isn't a scary fight. Oscar understands that this is a boss that you can taunt, which he does. You could AoE shot after if it goes wrong, but he's got a huge threat lead right now, right? That's great. What's interesting to me, though, is that because he used a late Death Wish on Gluth, it means that he isn't going to have it at the start in Thaddeus. And I don't know if he ever uses it. We'll have to see. But again, that's just the challenge on Horde side. On Alliance, you would get endless fear words, and a tank could easily save their Death Wish and not have to use it at the end of the fight like this. Maybe he did it partially for threat, because again, threat on Horde side is definitely a challenge compared to Alliance side. But it's just interesting to me. Yeah, just something to note there, because he Zerker Rages the first fear, and then again on Alliance side compared to Horde side, it's just a different game. Horde side, you have to have some way to instantly remove that second fear as a main tank, because Zerker Rages on cooldown, have to Death Wish. But in that context, I think it makes more sense to Death Wish at the start and then Zerker Rage, so that it would be available for the start of this fight if threat is a concern. But the key thing that I want to mention here is that the way Thaddeus works is you get a debuff once you're like 15 seconds into the fight. So the first couple seconds of the fight, if you use your attack power steroids, your stuff to get higher levels of threat, once you have that debuff now, you don't have that same ability to generate compared to everyone else. Everyone's on an even footing now, right? Like this debuff is only at 1 stack. In a second here, it's going to go to 19 or 20 stacks. 19, there we go. So he doesn't have any more offensives that he can use. If you look at the threat meter, it's not going to matter. No one is in any way close, and they're just going to use a Petri for the mage. But in the runs that I host, I just want to make that clear that I think it makes a lot more sense to wait until this actually happens. You just tell DPS, sit on your hands for a second. Before you have this debuff, you're not really doing that much damage anyways. It's a normal fight, right? Thaddeus is all about the crazy increase in damage that you get from this debuff. So it doesn't really make sense to me to start out the way that is happening. Again, unless this context here where you're not worried about anyone pulling threat because they're always going to plan on petring, which is what happens here. So the mage goes out to the side and petries. So Giga Threat is happening, and Oscar each time is taunting off of that. So they keep this ignite rolling, and Oscar, each time he can taunt, he's going to. And that just makes his threat then match wherever the mage was. So the mage is continuing. Like, realistically, there's no way that a tank is going to be able to keep up with this ignite for the whole fight. So either you would have to chain things to fixate the boss, taunt, mocking blow, and challenging shout through multiple warriors, drop the ignite, or use a Petri like they're using here. So a couple different ways of handling it, but you see 1.3 million damage compared to the top DPS player here, Blaston, who did 350k. So huge disparity in how much these mages can put out. Obviously, logs are super cringe. They split that ignite amount between the number of mages. So, a little bit less, but overall still a really giga ignite that they had for this. Now, this I think is an example of a mistake. I often talk about this, bad target dummies. Target dummies are so powerful. They have the ability to change the fight, both good and bad. And what you're going to see here from Oscar, I think, is a bad target dummy. You never want to put something in front of a shade like this. And marks were messed up, so that was part of it. He was reacting to incorrect marks again, where typically the square mark is going to be marked with that shade there. But here we go. So because the way this target dummy is put down, it's impossible for them to rip off this, and this totem was too far up, right? So this totem pulled before they were supposed to.
One.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Just
So that dummy right here, it faces everything towards the raid. And if he had put it just a little bit farther, where it caused everything to flip around, they wouldn't have taken this chunk of damage that's about to happen. See how their entire raid gets heavily hit from all the abilities? It could have been significantly less if the first thing that is being done is running in, taunting, and flipping around the ad as this person here, Willie, is doing. I think Willie did a really good job of that instant flip. And yeah, just something to note there is the power that comes from target dummies have to have a little bit of control in that circumstance, knowing which mobs are dangerous if they're going to be facing towards the raid AoEing. Otherwise, pretty clean here. So again, what to note stands out to me is these shades, they're always damaging the entire raid. That shouldn't really happen. It's getting, this time from a rogue, these shades, they have a larger range to be able to see through stealth. They have different stealth detection than normal mobs, and it looks like a rogue just gets too close here without realizing that. You see it immediately on a rogue. So ideally, you would flip this target around instantly, but because they're running in and tanks normally are in defensive stance trying to save rage, they're not able to charge like that. The entire raid is going to get hit here by double volley, which is pretty sketch. Again, though, if you look at these health pools, these guys are just so tanky. A single pack like that, it's basically impossible for them to die, but always the risk of what happens if multiple pulls happen, which is what we're going to see in the future. So anyways, moving forward, to clear all this out, it goes well. We don't need to look at any of this trash. And I just feel like this is a little bit of caster bias that you see throughout these raids. Like, I don't think pull timers like this do anything. I think in actuality, they're bad, right? What you see here is Bobby puts out this pull timer, and some mage hits a second early. That totally ruins the point of it. And so often with pull timers like this, you're going to see infrequent exact hits, right? You want everyone to hit the exact same time here. And so often there's going to be that one guy that hits early and it just makes it a waste. So that one was good, but they only did 50%. Like if all the warriors just BT it, that's going to kill it faster. I just don't I know that like there is casters part of this raid administration, and I think that that so often is just a clear bias that is being had, is the desire for the mages to feel like they're useful when no, like this is a warrior game. You are a support class in most circumstances. Mages are not the main characters. So just something to note there that stands out to me in a lot of different Naxx raids that I've seen is how pull timers can be a detriment. And in reality, with this level of damage that you have with a full buffed raid with 10 plus warriors, you just BT and it dies. One demo shouts, one taunts, everyone BTs, easy peasy. So they had a good Resuvius here. One thing that I really like to see from this Resuvius is how every single caster is low on mana. If there was a disaster with a disrupting shout, none of these casters are going to die. And I don't think that it matters as much for the hunters. I've tanked a full disrupting shout before, full mana on my hunter and lived. Again, not saying that that should happen, but the way that this shout works is that it is based on how much armor you have. It's a physical ability. So that's why it one-shots casters and it doesn't one-shot paladins. So hunters are a little bit that in between. Shamans, because they have so much mana and it's a mana burn, it usually will kill them in one shot, even though that they're wearing mail as well. But as a hunter with a little bit lower of a health pool, I don't think that you need to be as concerned about this. You definitely can be at half mana and totally be fine, especially these hunters with 10k health. They're absolute giga tanks almost. So anyways, they do a logout skip, and their logout skips are really efficient. They do a good job of instantly all going offline. The reset works and they move forward. So they go on to the next wing, and what they're going to do is after they rebuff, now they have a clear path to go straight to Gothic. The trash between Resuvius and Gothic disappears after you do the instant reset like they did. So it's a really nice way for them to have to not deal with a bunch of dangerous trash.
AoE's in 10 seconds.
All right, so Cap, back up, back up. Okay, this is gonna be your lip AOE in a second. Let's pull. It's gonna be a triple. It's gonna be a triple. I need a lip AOE. No. Oh, we got no. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, mine first. Mine first. It's up. It's up.
Yep. Okay, either in or you're out.
Kill Venom Stalker. Face these away. Get on star if you're gonna lip AoE. Face them away if you lip AoE.
I got it.
So this was another case of bad target dummies where what you see here is all the ads turn around and face the raid because of this masterwork target dummy. Very, very dangerous. Need to be more aware on packs that do AoE like these packs do. All the spinners in this pack do a frontal cone, and that amount of damage can be really shocking for a raid group. Fortunately, they handle this really well, but I'm a little bit surprised that I'm not seeing anyone with a taunt lip weak aura. What I'm used to is in a lot of raids, there's going to be a raid leader that has a nice little box, and on that box it says the names of the warriors and if they have their potion cooldown and their AoE shot available. And that would make this a lot less hectic. What you hear from the raid leader.
I got him.
It's gonna be a triple. I need a lip AoE. Oh, we got no. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, mine first. Mine.
So really good job by Oscar here to take control. This is what the main tank has to do. He sets the pace, mine first. But after that, like, who's supposed to go next? I would imagine there's like 5 people that'll go here. And as the raid leader, if you have that weak aura, you would be able to really clearly see who can and who can't. And making that call, I've seen it save a lot of bad circumstances. In a raid like this, it's pretty high tier players. These guys don't mess up Lich Shouts very often, so it all works out.
Okay.
But let's just listen right here.
You're fucking pulling everything.
All right, right side. Yo, real quick, who has lip AoE taunt? Call it.
So yeah, who has it available? Call it. And that to me is always scary. I've seen it a lot of times where people think that they have lip shout available and they don't actually. And if you have the weak aura, it'll tell you. You don't have to rely on raiders giving you incorrect information.
Here if we need it.
And what I'll say is, you see how they mark all these skitters? If each tank picks up their mark, there's like 4 skitters left, and that really can't kill a mage. I think that as long as you're pulling single skitter packs and you mark targets like they did, you don't need to AoE shout. You just cleave them down. Obviously, it's a hardcore raid. They're trying to play safe, but just making that known that single skitter packs, as long as you have warriors each pick up a target like they marked right there, it's really safe. So this was sketchy. I've seen hunters die like this before, where Oscar just gets bad RNG, he tries to mocking blow and it gets dodged. So I don't think he did anything wrong there besides just getting unlucky. And when that happened, the hunter pulled threat. So it looks like Lucky feigned death and KV did not. KV got hit there. Could have been really dangerous. Those green mobs, they do kind of like this double hit very often, and it can be really deadly. Anyways, they move forward here. And now they're going to log out again. So I don't understand this. I think it might remove 1 skitter pack. I don't really know this logout skip. I've never really seen that before. So they go back in. And I guess the skitter patrol is gone. So there's a single patrol that normally is in this room. And it can be dangerous. But like, it's also not dangerous. What's much more dangerous is pulling the side pack. I'm not used to groups pulling that left pack. Maybe they're just afraid. I have seen it before. If you stand in the middle of this next stairwell doorway here, it can pull the far left pack. So they're playing safe, but just making it known here that I don't know. This section to me and their Spiderwing in general, there's some things that I just don't totally agree with. I guess I get it, but for a single skitter pack like that, all you need is a hunter to know the different points of when it's safe to pull, and it would save more time than it would to walk back to where they were. Maybe they've had a previous bad pull where things have gone wrong, and moving forward, all they do is say, you know, we're not doing that again. Let's play it safe always. And again, I don't know that context, but to me, it just seems kind of weird. Same thing with what's about to happen here with these upcoming skitter packs. I'm not used to this in good groups. In groups that are lower tier, what you're going to see is they often go to the back, like the far back of this room, as we're about to see for Fairlina Trash. They all got rid of the poison really quickly there. Great. They handle this section well. This is a common thing though. So a hunter pulled incorrectly here. What you want to do is you want to pull from the far left. You want to be like where that barrel is. But because the hunter is far to the right, it's going to social pull the pack next to it. So they get 2 packs at once, and this pack always trickles in like that. Oscar does a really good job of picking up the back adds. What happens usually is the person assigned to AoE shouts early, and then all those skitters trickle in and a mage dies to that. So good on Oscar there to be aware of what's coming and pick up a bunch of these skitters. And you see, like, he's never really worried when he's playing as a main tank. He feels confident in his healers, and also he's just giga tanky. 12k health like this, very, very chonky. So they wait for these spiders, which is the correct call. And then walking into them like this, I am totally in favor of that. You want to have 2 separate groups. One thing I didn't really mention is I thought that the call was really good when they did that weird double pull at the start of you're in or you're out. That's really what you need to make clear. 2 groups. But I don't get why they pull this stuff. These 2 skitter packs, they despawn after Fairlina dies. You don't have to kill these. maybe they're... I don't know. These two packs don't exist after the boss dies. They go ahead and they kill this additional trash. Maybe they're waiting for some cooldowns, or these packs always stay up. You normally kill these after Faralina, but I just don't really get the way that they double back sometimes. It just doesn't really make sense to me. These packs are really safe though. It's just creepers. It's not any spinners. So as long as you decurse the tanks, totally fine here. So yeah, see how far they have to run back now and backtrack? I just don't really think that makes sense. So they're going to set up for the Faralina trash. All the Faralina trash goes well. I hate this strategy. I wish that groups didn't do it this way, because what happens is people get blasted down and then they're out of line of sight. All the shamans are in a pretty good spot, but it's pretty easy to get messed up here. What I like much more is using the full runway, where everyone is more in the middle here, where like the hunter is currently. I find that to be much safer than this strategy of the weird LOS where people get knocked down. But anyways, they do it every week, right? It works for them, so not trying to be too critical, but I just don't like this strategy. I don't like this weird LOS spot. Again, maybe it's more of a Horde thing where they have all their totems like this, but I've watched GDKP daily when I wasn't in it. Shout out to Akarin. He never did it this way. Always had stuff down to the side here and having mobs whiff. These caster mobs, they won't do a volley if no one is in range to them. So you have the first one come towards you, they cast, they hit no one, and then by the time the second volley is going out, they're near you, you kick it, and it's totally fine. So I don't know. I just think it's weird, but it worked. There was nothing scary that happened. Again, they're really tanky. They have a lot of health, but just me being a little critical there, I just don't like the barrel strategy is basically what it's called. So Faralina goes well. And yeah, you see how they're just running through all this area? Maybe they're... I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get why you wouldn't just kill this stuff after Faralina. So they pull the green spiders, and because they pulled from such a large distance, higher chance of getting a charge, but it doesn't happen. So again, volleys are a problem for this group. You can intercept these shades and they get stunned. So if a warrior had intercepted right here, this shade would not have hit the whole raid. Again, not a big deal. It's not like it was anywhere near death, but when you just think about ways to reduce raid damage overall, it makes sense to me to have some off tank instantly intercept in that rather than an entire raid get hit by a volley. So they do full clear, killing both these gargoyle packs back to back. They only get 3 stacks, very safe. So doing back-to-back gargoyles, not too dangerous. They wait for the next pack, which I think is smart. Trying to fight these acolytes while you have gargoyle stacks is really dangerous. So they wait, they move up, they deal with the gargoyles well. Hooray. So a little bit sus, but in general, really solid wing. And again, maybe this is a couple things going on here. I don't think we can see all of the debuffs. That's kind of the weird thing about hardcore is they don't have debuff cap, and I don't know how many hots were actually on Oscar there. It didn't look like any, but I'm sure it was something. But he used Last Stand as well, and it was quite safe. So easy peasy. And now they're going to go on to Gothic. And Gothic will be the last fight that they kill before they go rebuff. This is a common tactic in hardcore that you really never do the harder stuff without hour buffs. So they all go and get Songflower. After Songflower, they port back to Orgrimmar. They get a Ren buff, and easy peasy. So they all have to click the flower, spam clicking. They get it, hooray. There's always some schmuck that misses it, but they go back to org, and now Nef is, or Ani's gonna drop, I think. No, they don't actually get Rend. Interesting. So they don't drop Rend, they only get Songflower. That kind of surprised me. Maybe they're light on how many buffs they have saved. Don't really know the status of the server as far as how many new characters are being made. I think that in general, Alliance is more popular on hardcore at this point, especially when it comes to raiding. So I don't know how sparse the Ren buffs are. You can only ever use one per character. So on hardcore, getting a character to 60 is kind of a big deal. Probably want to save those Ren buffs for the most... Oh, wait, what am I saying? They popped Ren before they went and got Songflower. Okay. So they rebuff, they port back to org, they get the Rend, drop it instantly, reboon, and then they have their Songflower out. That actually makes a lot of sense. That's really smart. Again, not used to this Horde meta fully, so that rebuff makes sense to me. Anyways, they port to org, or sorry, UDC, get summoned. They have summoners all set up, and they're back in the instance. So really efficient rebuff, and that's going to allow them to still have a lot of time on their Zanzas and flasks. Part of the problem when you do a rebuff is that you have other things on your character that continue to tick down. In the raids that I host, we only ever expect people to bring one flask. If raids go over 2 hours, that's a problem. So I would imagine in a group like this, you're expected to have 2 Titans, especially because Flask of Petrification is so powerful. To save your character, you need to have a Titans after that in case you use one. Anyways, we're approaching the last couple bosses here, and this is where things get a little bit wild. So they're on to 4 horsemen. They log out for a minute, make sure they're fully set for the fight. Always kind of sketches me out, shamans going around that corner. I get it. It's nice to be able to put your Wind Fury up, but I've just seen so many times where people ninja pull this boss and it gets very sketchy. So it makes sense to me. He used his attack steroids at the start there for Thane. And they do manage to kill Mograine as well. So they all save their cooldowns from Mograine and they burst that down. That's definitely the higher level strategy when it comes to kind of 3 levels, right? Like no one does the old dad strat where you swap around constantly. Burn Thane is kind of the lowest level, the lowest tier of 4 horsemen at this point. One step above, instead of only burning Thane, you burn Mograine after. And obviously the step above that is a full-on cleave of Thane and Mograine. But if you're a well-optimized raid, it's not that much of a difference in time save compared to doing the cleave strat to burn Mograine strat. Maybe like 30 seconds or a minute. Obviously, like, you know, world record 4 horsemen is like 57 seconds or something. But in general, I can tell you that my burn Mograine strategy in the raids that I host, our best times is like 2:30, more often like 3 minutes. So you lose a minute and it's definitely a lot safer. The nice thing about burning Mograine is that you don't need to have another tank rotation. So you only need to have 2 tanks in the front, 4 tanks in the back. That's 6 tanks total. And I think that's more manageable as a raid group, only having 6 tanks. But knowing that these guys have the different FAP teams, it seems to me to be a little bit of an expectation that more people are going to need to step up to tank something at some point. So this is the hardcore meta as far as people logging out once they're no longer needed on Ziliak. Which is interesting to me. Like, I wonder if things ever went super wrong, would they make the call to log back in? Would people not do it if things were sketch? Because Four Horsemen is a fight that you really can't safely leave. All you can do is Hearth, but as far as you really can't Petri out of it. If you know the clip, you know the clip. So they move forward. They're onto their final wing, Plague Wing, and this is where things get a little bit dicey. And we'll get into that more after. But first, let's just see what happens here. We'll listen to the comms and, yeah, see what happens.
You ready?
And
I'm
you
also
have like size
6'5",
XL Lululemon
size
pants or
16
what?
shoes.
All right, watch that. Watch that. My dodge. Careful, bad.
Really bad threat. Really bad threat.
So he uses everything on the
If that's
opener.
good, BT crit. Move in, Lucky, a little far.
Decurs.
Careful, a lot of parries, guys.
Blasted on.
Lads.
Okay, that's climbing.
Sake, this is you.
Death Wish off tanks. You're ready to blink could happen anytime. Careful, Athena.
I just had the lift. I might have to patch.
There it is.
Flip.
Petri?
Yo,
Drop
Shadow
it,
Bolt.
drop it.
Yeah, I have it. Careful, Sake.
Wonders.
Sake, yeah.
If yo, careful, Sake.
Petri.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, good Petri.
Yo, guys, don't rip this. Blast on Jim Hog. Holy fuck. Stinky fox. Yo, Bobby!
Petri.
Oh my gosh.
Where's the threat?
I'm saying, bro.
Where's the
You want-
threat?
I don't have Death Wish because I Death Wish it off rip.
How are tanks 2 and 3 not pulling
This
off
is
of
nuts,
you?
bro. You
You
don't
guys-
bitch
Log
at
out,
me.
guys. Log
One
out.
second.
Death
Fuck
Wish
them,
timer.
Bobby.
Log out.
Because I'm about to pop off on the tank 2 and tank 3 and tank 4.
Yeah,
You
fuck
guys are
those guys.
saving. You guys are saving your cooldowns for the threat reset. Why is Oscar holding threat the whole fucking time? That's insane. He uses full cooldowns off the rip.
It's the same.
Tell me,
Just like
somebody tell me I'm wrong. No, what do you mean RNG, man? You guys are saving your
Yeah.
cooldowns, right?
These tanks suck.
That's what I showed.
Strike them. Strike them.
Raggy just says,
I got-
these tanks suck.
God, Death
Guys,
Wish
I really
sucks.
have to take a piss. I'll be right back like 1 minute for Death Wish timer. Be right back.
Tell him,
My,
man.
my
Hey, good
gears,
job, tanks.
my gears like noticeably different turned off.
Right, it's all good. I'm gonna fact check logs at the end of this to see which tanks actually sent cooldowns. Because that's.
I mean,
true.
I drank a FAP, so I didn't get slowed. I chased the boss. Like, I just didn't crit, man. Like, that's what it comes down to.
No more excuses, really.
It's Sin's fault.
I got dog shit crit, man. What do you want from me?
Definitely is Sun's fault.
Yeah, these fucking mages, dude. Always ripping threat, killing fucking people.
So that did not go great. We'll just play it back really quickly. One thing that stands out to me from the start here is how far away all the casters are. Typically, you want to be right behind the boss so that when the teleport happens, the tank doesn't have to run all over the place trying to chase after people. The boss should kind of come to you that way, right? You just chill right after the threat reset happens, and it's all good. I've seen a lot of groups, what they'll do is, this is a great time to dummy. If there's any time to dummy, it's a circumstance like this. You just put one down right on the boss. Everyone uses Sapper or Holy Water, and the ads just melt. Like, this is a buffed raid. I think that the ads are a little bit overblown in terms of the danger. Again, that to me is just a sign of mage brain. Like, this shouldn't be scary. This is something that warriors just instantly cleave down. So off tanks to me are too distracted by this. This is something that shouldn't be a focus. All that this raid should focus on is making sure that the tanks are ready to pick up the boss. So Oscar is highest on threat. And we can look here really quickly. Pulling up the logs. Looking at Noth here, you see the drop off that happens. And Blast is full pumping, right? Like right after the teleport happens. Teleport happens at, what is it? Like 33 seconds. Yeah, I mean, damage drops off a cliff right around here. I believe in the comms they were saying like 33 seconds. So very shortly after the teleport happens, Blast is sending a BT. And from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like the other tanks are ready to instantly do that. So to me, what this indicates is tanks need to be ready to save their BT, have rage, and have their cooldowns. If we go through the different tanks on this fight, Go back to tables. Checked out Brapton. Timeline, events, casts. So he BTs right after. Dodged. Unfortunate, right? Like RNG is just not on your favor sometimes. So not super lucky there. Let's look at the next person. Table. Willie was one of the people that was calling out, like, I tried, man. What do you want from me? I tried to do the best that I could. So let's look at casts. BT. So he was focused on the warrior, right? Like, I get it if that's what he's assigned to do. But he, because of that, because he BT'd the warrior, he didn't have it for when the threat reset happened and you need to pump the most threat. I don't think that you really need to ever be BTing the warriors, right? You can taunt the warriors. I would just have one person assigned to lip shout. Like all you do is lip shout, everyone sends a holy water on the boss, you do damage to the boss and you kill all the ads. Like I said, you can dummy as well. I think that this whole problem is just overblown and really not a big deal. So anyways, let's get into this next part here. Back to the video. And we are going to continue forward. They log out to get ready for Heigen here. Moving forward, Heigen goes well. Nothing really to mention here. And easy peasy. He's getting rage for Lotheb. This is some cool tech. This is something I haven't seen a whole ton. I think it's really smart where he's staying in the back, getting to full rage. So when he's ready for Lotheb here, he's going to be at the best possible position for that. So it gets full rage, gets summoned, swaps his gear. And I would highly recommend that you have an item rack to swap your gear instead of manually doing like this as a main tank. I have 3 sets of gear. I have my threat gear, my medium chonk, and my full mitt gear. And I would just encourage other tanks to do that same system. Really simple. You just have 3 different keybinds that you can swap between. Maybe he's had issues with item rack before. I know that I have as well, where it just doesn't work properly. And maybe he's decided it's just not worth the trade-off there. But I'm a little surprised to see that they don't use a Diamond Flask for this. Diamond Flask on this fight is just extremely overpowered as the main tank. But yeah, that's not what happens. He does not do that. So they go ahead and they do a little bit more looking into the Noth situation that happened. He logs out over and over. Not sure exactly the reasoning. We don't need to look into it, but over and over they're logging out and coming back in, waiting for something, and now it's time to go. So let's see the opener here. So no Diamond Flask. Looks like I think he has LGG as his second trinket. I think that, I would hope, that would make a lot of sense. I highly suggest that you do that. Kind of surprises me that he is using dual wield for so long here. I mean, threat is slightly a concern, but on a fight like Lotheb, I would highly encourage pretty early into this that you swap to a shield. But they have plenty of healers. If you look at the timers here, they're not at all at risk. They always have like 4 or more healers available because they're also using major recombobulators. So that definitely makes it a lot safer. But yeah, like Monkey Stabs, he must have been a backstab rogue. Typically, if you are a full crit rogue as you are with backstab, it just means that you don't have to get a spore. It's actually a loss in DPS for you to go and spend that downtime compared to just constantly hitting the boss. So Monkey just kind of has to watch his threat a little bit because of that. But yeah, I would just encourage a little bit earlier swap to shield for this. But anyways, good to see all of the healer positioning, so you never see the boss turn and face the other way. That's an easy way to get parry hasted. Okay, so time for the tough fight. Let's see Saffron set up here. So everyone logs in at the last second. This is a nice advantage of Horde side. Doing this on Alliance is a pain. And in general, their ability to constantly log out and back in is just so much better on Horde side. On Alliance, when you log out of the game, you lose your Paladin major blessing buffs, or I forget exactly the terminology, but the 15-minute blessings. If you had a 5-minute blessing, a single blessing, it wouldn't be removed, but because it's the greater blessing, I believe is what it's called. Because of that, it's a pain to log out and back in. This is kind of interesting to me, the movement like this. I want to hear if he's...
Wait, yeah, he's not even here.
Yeah. Careful, batter.
Careful.
Guys,
Careful,
hello.
Let me get this, Magus. Let me get this.
Oh, stinky boys.
So he really pumps right there, but I just don't get like moving the boss like this. If you see, it kind of stresses out the casters where they have to reposition. You want on a fight like this people to never have to move. And the healers, some of them are really down low there, and because of this reposition, I feel like it just, I don't know. I don't really totally understand it. I think visually it's easier for the melee to know where to stand as well. This boss has a huge hitbox. If the boss is tanked in the middle of the circle, you can be on the outer edge of the green and still hit. And having those kind of landmarks to work from just makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe they do it. Okay, so this is actually maybe tech. The boss goes up in the air, but before going up in the air, he turns around and, you know, takes a second to get into the air. So maybe it allows you to hit the boss for an extra second or two, is maybe my thought. I'd be curious to know the rationale there. But anyways, they get it down to 47% in the first air phase. That's giga. That's really, really strong levels of damage. And it means that they're only going to have one air phase that they have to worry about. This makes Saffron so much safer if you're able to get Saffron down to 10% before the next timer of the air phase. So they have really strong damage. Again, that's the nice thing about them rebuffing and getting new hour buffs. So time for KT. And before KT, they go and get a armor buff. This is really, really powerful. If you didn't know, KT hits extremely hard. One of the hardest hitting fights in the game. And looks like he actually got the armor buff before that fight as well. So really investing in making sure that these guys are ready to go. Huh, he only has 9 minutes. That must be it, right? I'm a little thrown off. Again, kind of hard to track all the different buffs because of how buff cap doesn't show everything that you have. Or the buff UI is what I'm trying to say. There is no buff cap. And it's just a little different than what I'm used to. This raid is still going on, WTF. So, yeah, there's some other hardcore players that are making comments in this Twitch chat. And I think it's cool to see this like niche raiding scene. Not many people that play hardcore get to the end game like this. You are watching hundreds and thousands of people play this race locked version of the game where not a single one of them has raided yet, right? Like there's such a spectrum when it comes to what hardcore is like, and I think that this end game content is really fascinating. Both fascinating and tragic. The thing that you got to think about is a lot of the people playing the race locked, maybe they've invested 10, 20 hours. Obviously, some of these guys have spent weeks and weeks at this point, but you just have a little bit less of a loss when it's less time invested. Compared to what we're about to see here is tragic. Some thousands of hours lost in a second. This raid was over 2 hours long, and in the final 1% of that time span, 2 people die. So let's see what happens. Oscar starts out and he uses all of his cooldowns. I just don't know if this makes sense. I think that it makes a lot more logical sense to have a second tank start on the fight. This way, the main tank is ready to pick up the boss when the mind control happens. The mind control is always going to target the main tank and a couple other random people. But because you know that the main tank is going to always get targeted, it means that off tanks need to be ready, which Willie was. Willie instantly picked it up. So shout out to Willie there. And shout out to the rest of the raid for really fast dusts. I don't know about that demo shot. Maybe that was an accident. I think it was just bad timing. Demo shot was just running out and no, it was full. Someone was just a little late there. Kind of unfortunate that, you know, right here for 10 seconds of the fight now, you're going to have a bunch of people demo shotted. So, unfortunate Frost Blast. Let's see who it targets. Satoru Group. So, or however you say the name, Satoru Gojo. So Gojo's in a bad spot, or are other people in a bad spot? The Frost Blast is a radius, yeah. So Gojo looks to be in a fine spot. So that makes me think one of two things is the block marker that Gojo in, are they too close, or is this other group? But something went wrong here. And again, all I know for certain is that Gojo was the person that was targeted, and because of how the radius is, that other group got hit as well. My advice is always, I mean, it was just kind of unfortunate timing too, right? It was after the mind control like this. This is worst case scenario. Boss is moving around, and yeah, could be really, really scary there. So Willie picks it up. He's pumping, but he does have Death Wish up. Like, it's hard to tell from this perspective because when you're mind control, you can't see the threat meter. Athena War picks it up, and that's a tank as well, so a different tank picked it up. But yeah, worst case scenario here, you never want to drag it like this. Unfortunate to have a void zone. So the person that was then tanking, because they got a fissure on them, they had to move. When they moved, then someone else pulled threat, and it just got a little bit chaotic there. I want to give a shout out to this group here, the Diamond group. They had really good control. Like, they didn't follow and chase, right? This could have been a lot worse if this Diamond group all moved forward and then 3 groups get hit instead of 2 because of the kind of odd positioning that happens right here. But they had really good control and could have been scary, but a lot of shamans then invest their nature swiftness. People always talk about how much better raiding is on Alliance compared to Horde because of the different abilities that Paladins have that make it a more seamless raiding experience. KT is one of those fights that I'm pretty torn. I think that Horde have some really strong tools that Alliance just don't have in comparison. Mainly that nature swiftness chain heal. When you have 2 groups hit on Alliance side, it's much more likely that someone is going to die just because of how fast that Frost Blast does damage and how many people are getting hit by it. In comparison, nature swiftness, chain heal, you can make sure multiple people are all getting instantly hit with a big heal that saves them. So that's great. It works out. And now let's just listen.
Fisher on melee.
Scorch.
Chains any second. Frost Blast in 5. Pre-shield melee. Get chains.
Got these ads. Got these ads. CC.
Okay, boss on me. Boss on me.
CC free over there. Good job.
Ads are up.
There's an ad running loose.
Look for it.
You need to get dispels after the chains are over. Yo, watch your threat. Watch your threat.
Pass it on.
Dispel.
Yo, guys, watch your threat on KT.
Dispel.
What are you doing?
Dispel.
Jeez.
So let's see what was lost here. It was Cow and Blasto. So I was looking at some rankings, not that. So Blasto had Hatchet. That's real tragic. I believe he has Badge as well, not wearing it right here, but Carnage, Edgies, tragic. Another Hatchet loss. They lost 2 Hatchets from this and a Phylactery. Those to me are the immediate things that stand out in terms of time investment. Lots of time and energy. 2 pairs of edgies, rip. Interesting to see how many people are wearing edgies in this raid, especially those that might have access like that. Maybe it was a Tauren. Wasn't too sure about that, but anyways, yeah, tragic. So when this boss dies, they all pass on the loot. Previously, they've had loot masters that have died on Sapphire KT. So what they do is, instead of having one person be the loot master, and if you kill the boss and the loot master is dead, you just can't pick up the loot. So what they do is they do group loot. This means that anyone that rolls for it could then pick it up, and it should be safer in theory, right? Well, I think they were just kind of tilted by this experience that just happened. They instantly are VOD reviewing it, and
oh, sorry, boys.
Vibes are down.
Can I use that in a VOD review recap?
So there's me asking, and let's just hear
VOD review recap. What does that mean?
Run through it. Let us know.
Like, is it gonna be like, hey, what's up, guys? It's Fat and Strong here with on YouTube. Today, I'm gonna be reviewing the washed up Kel'Thuzad kill. First, we have Oscar, your main tank speaking.
He's a great guy.
You know, what seems to be happening here is the chains actually go out onto the raid, so it's a complete threat wipe.
Let's get the loot done.
Yes.
And then what happens next is the warrior presses bloodthirst. The warrior heroic strikes. The warrior dies.
So a little bit incorrect with his explanation there. It was an execute phase, right? So they're just pumping executes is my thought. Let's go back and see. So we're going to click on blast on here. We go to casts. And I think execute, I don't know if it even always shows that. It's kind of weird. Damage. Let's look at damage done. So yeah, execute's kind of a weird thing where it doesn't really show up. But yeah, he was executing, execute. He did a pummel right beforehand, but just mashing executes and getting multiple crits, maybe some big Wind Fury procs. But yeah, it wasn't the BTs and the heroics, it was the executes that got you there. So yeah, I would imagine it's kind of that case in general where you just need to be.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. You know, this is Fat and Strong with another video. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Perfect. Yep. Hey, if you're gonna do that, go right ahead, man.
I appreciate the permission. So, yeah, now disaster is going to strike. The investment that they just made into this KT kill to get the kill, they lost a lot from it, right? They lost a phylactery, but at least they get one from the kill, right? No. Unfortunately not. While they're doing all this review and stuff, they then realize that no one picked up the loot on KT. The shinies were still on the ground. So I believe the person that won all the items, they may have left the instance pretty quickly before the rest of the loot rolls went out. And because they left the instance before the loot rolls finished, they didn't get the items in their bag. They stayed on the boss. And now's the time to say the tragedy. They did not pick up the KT loot. After losing the investment on KT, unfortunately, no loot. And sure, they got a bunch of stuff from other bosses, but I think that is just really demoralizing that you did this investment and for what, right? For what? So, yeah, that's just what's gonna happen.
The start, we're like double, triple pulling and stuff.
So I asked him like if there's any other scary moments of the raid, and yeah, he's just gonna be inspecting KV here, who was the hunter that would have gotten the slave maker. He had a blue crossbow, would have been the dream going from a pre-raid BIS crossbow to the BIS crossbow in the game. but that did not happen. So unfortunate. And let's just now go through a little bit of the aftermath. So they do a VOD review afterwards, and the vibes go down.
Tank 2, 3 did not use. I would put all of my gold, 4,500 gold liquid right now. I'll take any bet with anyone that all three, tank 2, 3, and 4, did not use all cooldowns and trinkets on the reset. Really, you want to take that bet?
I did it perfectly.
This isn't about you. This isn't about you. It's about tank 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, I mean,
you're the
I'm
one
not
taking it
gonna
personal.
gamble on other people now.
I already know I didn't do it the correct way.
I did it.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's no
Yeah, I
way
didn't
Oscar
either, but
picks
I
up.
was on the ads. Like,
I
I
have
don't know
bad
if you guys
RNG.
were paying
I had to
attention.
pick
There was
up
like
the
an ad
ads,
loose in the
too.
raid.
Yeah, I taunted the ad first, and then the boss teleported
Right.
as soon as I dragged it to the boss.
One
So
second.
I had to
We're
run
gonna-
back, right?
We're gonna pull up
It's just like,
Zugww stream.
And-
Yeah,
and
twitch.tv /ZugWW. That's
Did you not hear
ZUGWW
the
on
people
Twitch.
saying I had
Make sure you go to Twitch
I
Prime.
had to lip
Ads.
an ad off me before the
Exactly.
talk.
If you don't have a Twitch Prime, definitely give him a follow. I think he's a very entertaining streamer, and he's a good player. Definitely things you can learn from this guy.
Exactly.
All right, just quiet. You guys are. Let's
Link your
pull
Amazon
this up.
Prime with your Twitch account. You get a free Twitch Prime.
let's VOD review this shit.
Yeah, you guys are AIDS. I'm out of here. Jeez Louise.
So immediately after the raid, I think that this level of negativity is just a little bit too much. After you lost 2 warriors, they're not even that's not even the focus here, right? Like they're talking about Noth right now. Noth is what the mage guy is all upset about, that the tanks almost let him down. And the tanks are saying, "No, I was picking up the ads." And yeah, just I think it's just a little bit too much. A little bit too
All right,
harsh.
so real quick, we're just fact checking what the tank 2, 3, and 4 are doing when he teleports, because Willie's saying that, and I think Amatrol as well, are all saying they're picking up ads. Sorry, 1 second.
Well,
Okay,
I
okay,
mean-
wait, 1 second. 1 second. Where are the ads?
Mama Baba's talking.
What? What are we saying?
The ads with the
What in the fucking
rewind it
carp are we talking
rewind
about?
it 2 seconds ago. Rewind it 2 seconds ago.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ads
Let's.
are
Right there,
fucking
boom.
dead, bro. Right. Watch. The ads get pulled in. Watch the ads HP. Watch when he teleports. There. Only
So there's
one
an ad
tank.
right there. Exactly. It's up. It's up.
So what is the other 2 fucking tanks doing?
I'm chasing the boss.
No,
What do you
you're
mean?
saying
Okay,
that you
okay.
just said that we're not ads up. There's an ad up.
Yo,
You
Darth
just-
Plague,
okay.
thank you for the follow earlier. Sorry, I missed that.
Bro,
I was
one
on the ad.
ad,
Like, I
you
didn't, I
should-
wasn't even targeting the
Look,
boss.
look how
I
much
was
strength you
targeting
guys
the ad.
have. Look
All
how
right,
much
you guys
strength
are
targeting the ad.
6.8k. Okay,
They're crashing out.
Right
real
now,
quick,
I'm
because
targeting
the
the ad
tanks,
still.
you guys are actually trolling. So, troll, if that's your
They're
ad,
crashing out.
you
They're
should
pissed.
be pumping threat into the boss and letting the ad hit you.
Who is this handsome main tank in
I'm
the
not
bottom
even targeting
left?
the boss. I'm targeting the ad, bro.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like if I let
That's
the
what-
tank, like if I let
That's
that
what I
ad
just said.
kills the person that was begging for the help because he had to lip, then I'd also be getting, reamed for that. So it's like you're damned if you do, damned
so
if you
real
don't.
quick,
It
real
seems
quick.
like
Who in here said they had to lip? It's the ad.
Multi-lip.
Multi has to lip because he took social aggro somehow. He's not
Guys,
killing.
You guys should be stacked on the boss's ass, by the way. There's
Yeah,
no reason for
completely
you guys
agree.
to be standing in the fucking back like that, because then the boss teleports directly on top of you, and it's not a good situation. And the ads fall in directly on top of the melee that way if you stack right on the boss's ass. So we should be doing that the entire time.
Multi, since why the fuck are you guys killing ads as a mage? Why are
Let
you
it come
AoEing?
in. Let it come in and get cleaved
Let
by
him
the
get cleaved
warriors.
down.
Yeah.
You
Stay
guys
on the
shouldn't
boss.
be. You guys should not be AoEing there.
They're crashing
So
out.
multi, the fact that you had the lip, in my opinion, that's your fault.
He's right. If you look at the overall damage here, the guy talking, he did 0 damage to the ads, whereas these 2 mages, they just kind of blasted him down, right? And these ads are just so inconsequential, they shouldn't matter. And I think this is a good thing to focus on.
Okay,
not being
well,
AoE
That's
there.
your fault.
okay,
That
noted.
is
I
your
do that pretty routinely, and I don't think I've had to lip. So I
No,
was just-
because
yeah.
you
Bobby's
don't AoE there. The
mad.
reason why is we
I'm a troll
all ranged
stat.
have to save their lips. for
Mommy
teleport.
Bob.
So he brings up a good point. If they have to use their lip early to save themselves from the ads, it means that they can't lip for Noth, and Noth is obviously the much more dangerous thing. But they always send Petries anyways. They seem to have just unlimited Petries, so I think it's all just a little bit way too like pointing, and it doesn't need to be this level of negativity. I think that the frustration is that some people just died. They're all sad about that and just kind of taking it out on each other right now.
Tanks 2 to 4. That's why no one wants to be tanked 2 to 4. It's a bitch roll. They don't do anything, and then they get bullied after raid.
Okay,
they're just getting bullied after raid.
There's only.
So he's right. It's a tough job to be that tank, and he's gonna say that publicly to everyone in the Discord. At first, he was just saying, Oscar was saying that in his Discord, in his Twitch interaction, and then now he's going to unmute himself and say the same thing here.
Does anyone else in here think that's unrealistic, or am I being unreasonable?
Because I just can't physically, target two things at once. I hear.
Bobby, I have something to say, Bobby.
What?
This is why we have problems with tank 2 to 4. All raid, they do nothing. They're in a bitch roll, and then after raid, they get bullied. I'm a troll. You did a fantastic job. You did your best, buddy. I love you.
All right, no, I agree. We should look at logs and talk about it and all, but I just think that it's like, oh well, you should have not been taking the ad and taking the boss. Like if I was not taking the ad and one of the mages died too, we'd be having a different conversation. You know what I mean? So it's like I kind of feel like I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't there.
He brings up a good point. If the mages were not supposed to be AoEing the ads and they did, and they pulled threat and they almost died to it, and he was trying to save them, I feel like he did a good job. He didn't let the mages die, right? So it is just one of those things where it just all feels a little bit too negative to me.
Everybody picked up the ads either, but again, I don't know even sure that. I think the ad I was taking was not even my ad.
We can take a look at that in a second. 33 seconds, he teleports. Let me just fact check that.
So we'll move forward here.
Press it another time randomly.
No, I would just saving it, and then the ads came, and then the boss teleported, and just should have used it earlier. 100%. You called that a good comms. It was all good comms. Like I said, it was just a mistake on not popping them before the ads came.
And I think it should just end there, right? Like the guy owns his mistake. He says, you're right. Things didn't go how they should have, and I know that, and next time it'll be different.
Attaboy. You'll get him next time. I believe in you.
Pro, you didn't use Death Wish at all enough.
I used it 4 seconds.
True.
Are you looking at the logs I looked at? I thought I used it 4 seconds after I touched the boss. I hit an ad at 36:58, then it was a bloodthirst dodge at 40 seconds.
The log doesn't show it. May 6. I show I'm sorting by Death Wish, Cass. You said unless you had it, you didn't pop it before the encounter started, right? You just said it. You popped it during.
Oh no, I thought you said bloodthirst.
No, Death Wish.
No, that's what I said. I said I did not use my cooldown.
Understood.
No, yeah, I definitely was not trying to. I definitely did not. I thought you said bloodthirst when I was.
Oh, you know what? I see what happened. I must have put my defensive gear on for some reason. I must have been a fat finger on my item rack or something. So I was in my KT gear, which is not ideal. Yeah. So there you go. That's why my threat sucked, and my rage gem wasn't very good. There you go. Wrong set of gear.
Like, no one even died. I don't think it's not that deep, man. This is just all kind of crazy to me. Again, I don't understand the hardcore mindset. Obviously, these guys they feel bad if they make mistakes.
How's everyone's day? Having a good day today.
So Oscar's a bit of a rage bait, obviously. He just said that in comms after all this. We having a good day? Tough crowd. So no one answers him. Going on to the next one here. They're going to get into cope mode here.
I'm starting to learn. Like, you can parse all you want, but one bad fight, all your parses don't matter no more.
Vex. I don't know. Between me being burnt out and I find mage parsing more and more cringe every week that passes.
Mage parsing is so cringe.
At this point in the game, mage parsing is who can run the fewest mages now.
Yeah, that's always what it has been. Shout out to Ron QB for forever changing the mage game. He showed how you only realistically needed 2 mages to keep an ignite going once you hit a certain level of Naxx gear. And because of that, with how logs are tracked, ignite is split between the mages. Well, if you only have 3 mages compared to 5 mages that you're dividing that number between, it's going to be a radically different overall number of DPS that these mages are allocated, right? So on the rankings here, it just comes down to, well, obviously warriors are all the best. Again, why do we even care about mages? This whole thing is kind of silly. So anyways, we'll just listen here.
Perfectly, but it's like I said, it's kind of like Oscar led to. It's like you're kind of sitting there being a demo bitch for like an hour straight, and then like and you make them, one mistake, and then you're like, in the 2-hour raid. That, like you said, that was probably our big and probably only mistake of the raid. So it does sometimes, not necessarily rub you the wrong way, but definitely, like you said, we had a great night other than KT in that loss. So I do there is a little truth to what he's saying. So like I don't think it's unfair. I don't think it's unfair to bring up a mistake at all. So like unfair is not the right word.
But wait, hold on. Willie, when you say it's never my fault and it's automatically the tank's like 2 to 4, was there an instance where like I did something wrong and I blamed like somebody else? I'm actually genuinely curious.
No. It's definitely not your fault.
Well, no, like I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. Like
I'm not being sarcastic. It's just not. It's not your fault because you don't make mistakes.
Well, okay, dude, this sounds sarcastic. This sounds sarcastic.
The only mistake I can think of that you ever ran is on Hagen. That was it. But
yeah, that was definitely my fault.
I'm not being sarcastic at all.
So I think this is a quick thing to mention that other people, they like look up to these better players that they have in their head. Oh, they can't do any wrong. And let me tell you that that's partially why I like to do these VOD reviews, is that everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect. And if you have that mindset that, oh, I make mistakes and no one else does, it just kind of puts you down in this rabbit hole that you can't get out of, oh, I'm just not good enough. Everyone else is better than me. And that's just not the case, right? Like, as we've looked in this video, I can find 5 things that Oscar can improve on. Is he a really good player? Yeah. But the best players are those that are always looking to get better. And I think Oscar is an example of that. And yeah, I guess my takeaway is just people have a tendency sometimes, certain people, to put themselves down. And you don't need to do that. And circumstances like what's happening after this raid puts those people even more in just a down position, right? Like when you have everyone piling on them after this event just happened, it just doesn't feel good. It's not like, this is like a job at this point, right? Like it's just kind of rough.
From like the off tanks not generating like a bit more threat. Wait, hold on one second though.
Right?
I think this whole argument is from like the off tanks not generating like a bit more threat. Like, why can't we just watch like our threat meters? Like, if the threat's low, like, can we just like watch the threat meter? Like, why is this like, why are we blowing up on like the off tanks?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, like, I don't have the same threat capabilities as any of these DPS warriors because I have a Widow's Remorse and a Maladath. And you guys all have hatchets and fucking Iblises and fucking all sorts of better fucking gear, man. You got active trinkets to use. I don't have shit, bro. Like, you just want me to pull this fucking incredible threat and super high crit RNG with very mediocre gear, right? It is what it is. We're playing Horde. I can't, unless I get lucky. It's just
what's wrong with
that's just.
So I do think that Widows and Maladath are totally fine weapons, but his point is valid. If you don't have an active trinket as a tank, it's just harder, especially on Horde site. Like we always talk about, the threat is just a much bigger factor. But yeah, I do really feel for him. Like, he said he's trying, and he's still getting yelled at. It just kind of sucks.
Bobby's 3-month sub anniversary.
Okay, so I think I did this one wrong. No, right here. Yeah.
Bobby's 3-month sub anniversary.
You're upset and frustrated, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just a game.
Well, I mean, but when you like make a point to make a big
Oh,
stink about
hype.
it during the raid, and like to make it a big thing, like right in the middle of the raid.
Fuck,
I mean,
where'd everybody? Where all these things go?
kind of like, I guess
How do I reset
you're
this?
kind of poking at me, right? Like publicly, and it's just kind of like, okay, bro. Like,
Did I call you out by name?
Well,
No.
whatever, bro. Whatever, man. Never mind.
What?
Just never mind, bro.
Okay, Bobby, it's okay. I know how they feel.
So again, I really do feel for these off tanks. It's just not a great feeling to always be pushed down when you're trying. And I think there could be some better ways to handle this rather than, this is what you did wrong. This is what you need to do better. But at the same time, during the raid, I think that the calls from the raid leader were totally fine, saying, oh, we're going to have to look at the logs of this later. Like, what is going on? It can be a way to just kind of remind people of, lock in. Like, you guys have jobs. Make sure we're doing them properly. Do what you're assigned. So then here,
like, I mean, it doesn't make it very fun to play. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally get that. That's why I wanted Amatrol's feedback as well, because he's been in this position for a while, and I don't want people to feel like, oh, they're just getting ass blasted and never getting praise and et cetera, et cetera. That's not fun. Of course not. That's terrible. So I don't want people to feel that way. But I don't think I'm being unreasonable when I say there's 8K threat on the boss in 8 seconds after the teleport. Like, what do we say, dude? That's crazy. And I mean, people get ass blasted outside of tanks as well. Like, Sake got ass blasted when he pulled on the boss. It's just because the raid leader is not calling every single thing going on. It's not an excuse to not be watching your threat meter. So, yeah, I don't think we give anyone a free ride. Like, that's what Washed Up's always been about. We VOD review after raid, we get better, we call people out, we talk about it, we improve week over week.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But I think that there can be different ways of saying things. And after a rough raid, after you just lose some people, I think that for the sake of morale, it's just a time and place sort of thing of, hey guys, really sorry we lost people. Let's come back stronger, and we'll look into this at another date. They were just upset because they didn't even get the KT loot. It was a total failure at the end of the raid, and it just kind of snowballed into more and more. So anyways, not much to say besides here. They do end up having...
Right now?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure.
So in the middle of this VOD, the raid leader says, turn off your comms. I need to say something. Really curious what he said. This was kind of like a little bit in the middle of this discussion. I put this clip out of order, but I just wanted to mention, I think this was good. I imagine what he said was something like, hey guys, we're all a team. It's going to be okay. I don't know. Just interesting to see that happen. I just really wonder what could be said that couldn't be streamed. That always interests me. Anyways, we are almost done here.
So, I mean, this discussion didn't start with me bringing up Noth.
No, when the boss died, you made a clear point. You
I
said,
did.
I'm gonna fucking check this over after the fight.
But did I
after
bring it up,
right?
Willie? Willie, did I bring it up at the end? You did.
No, I did, because you made
Okay.
a point to say it in front of the entire raid during the raid, right?
But
so
that's a real problem.
I
And
wanted
then
us to go over it.
you're
'cause you
on
said we were
edge.
going to.
So I did not bring it up until you made us think about it at the very end.
Well, I mean, if you're
I feel
gonna
like this
make
is
a point
self-inflicted.
in the
Bro,
middle of
these
the
guys
raid,
are-
I'm gonna bring it up at the end.
Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
Yeah, this at this point is grown men just meh, 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 meh. So yeah, we're almost there.
So
I think in like that case, for example, there were some misplays that were made. It's not a personal insult to acknowledge that or engage in like VOD review, and it just has to be a healthy discussion.
My God, someone called like a trusted adult or something? Like, fuck.
I actually kind of miss when we used to do the VOD reviews, honestly. We used to do a lot more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the VOD reviews are good if they're constructive, but like you heard that first guy at the start when it was going on, he's like, "You guys are toxic, I'm out." Some people tune this sort of stuff out, and the opposite happens. They don't learn from it. They just don't care, shut out, doesn't matter, screw you guys.
Just having observed this for a second as an outsider.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me. We're almost done.
Oh my God, Goma's crying.
As someone who's new, can I say something? Just having observed this for a second as an outsider, sort of.
What's up, Goma?
Honestly, Goma, no. Keep the thoughts or stuff. At this point, it got a little too heated.
Oh.
Okay.
That's wild to me. I did not expect that. I respect the raid leader saying that, though, of it's time to shut down the discussion. With that being said, they do still continue the discussion a little bit more. And yeah, I just thought that was kind of an interesting post-raid happening here. And I guess to finish it up here, I don't think I did the best job analyzing this KT as far as who was tanking at the end here, who was supposed to. So mind control happens.
Chill, guys, chill.
Mind control happens. They get hit by the blast. Oscar is out. Willie has it. Willie has it until the mind control again happens. And this is when Oscar ideally would have some additional sort of steroid to try and pick up this boss. Because again, he used everything at the start. He just doesn't have anything to use right here. And I think that you could split up your cooldowns more. Don't feel like you have to use everything on the opener. That to me is just questionable. I think that using only Death Wish on the opener and then allowing you to have Kiss at the end could be good, or the reverse. You use Kiss on the opener, and because it's likely going to be over a 2-minute fight, you might be able to use Kiss again at the end of the fight. But either way, I think that the main tank starting also is kind of questionable. So yeah, just some things to mention there. Maybe I'm kind of conflicted when I'm saying these things, where if he was second tank to pick up to get all the threat, maybe he feels like he would need to pop everything. I just think that there can be a little bit better sequencing when it comes to tank offensives here, and allowing Oscar to not be that first guy. Maybe, tank 4 is the first one to start. I don't normally have the main tank starting on KT on the opener. It just often leads to problems later on that tanks are not able to pick up the bosses easily. Having one set guy use everything on the opener means that other tanks then are able to be ready for their time to shine. And in a way, that's basically what happened on Noth too, right? Tanks weren't ready to use their defensives, and that's how this whole discussion happened. So anyways, it's been a discussion, that's for sure. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and GG's till the next one.